Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I'm your science teacher. I welcome you all to the new session of your new class. I heartily congratulate you for your promotion to the next class, that is 6. I hope you will start the new class with a full zeal and continue till its end. Now I would like to share some instruction about science work in this lecture. First thing, you have to complete the card cover as you can see on your screen. Leave a space for serial number. Write down your name and your class. Again, leave a space for the section and write the subject, that is general science. So students, now you have to complete this side of the card cover also. Leave the space for the serial number. Write down your name and your class, subject, branch and session. Leave a space for the teacher name and also mention the midterm along with the session, right? So students, now you have to write the course content in your science copy. Mention the date and the day as well. You have to, here on your screen you can see a sample how you have to start your work. So give the heading of course content in a block letters. Then here you can see on your screen that you have 3 sections in science book. First one is biology, then chemistry, and the third one is physics. So in biology you have 2 chapters, that is chapter 1 is cell, tissues and organ, and chapter 3 that is photosynthesis and respiration in plant. In chemistry you have chapter number 5, that is atom, molecule, mixture and compound. And in physics you have a chapter number 9, that is forces and machine. So you have to use blue marker for the heading and write details with a fountain pen. Draw proper margin line with pencil, double underline all the headings with pencil, and you have to do the shading on the both sides of the heading as well, like you can see on your screen. So after writing the course content, you have to draw an ending line. So students, now on a new page you have to mention the date and day as well. Now you have to give the heading of definition of science in a block letter as you can see on the screen with a blue marker. Then write down the details with a fountain pen. Again you have to leave a line and give the heading branches of science with a blue marker in a block letter. And then again write there are 3 main branches of science, that is biology, chemistry and physics with a fountain pen. After that again you have to give the heading, that is biology, in a block letter with a blue marker and write down its definition. You must have to highlight the words with a blue marker. Like in this biology, it is a study of knowledge about living things. So living thing must be with a blue marker. You have to highlight the words as well, including human beings, plants and animals. So chemistry, you have to highlight again the word, that is matter. And in the physics you have to highlight the words which are mentioned on the screen. You have to draw the proper margin lines with a pencil. You have to double underline all the headings with a pencil, and you have to do the shading on the both sides of the heading as you can see on the screen. So all these pictures will be shared with you in your groups. Now in today's lecture we will read chapter number 1, that is cells, tissues and organs. So students, what is cell? All organisms, plants and animals are made up of a tiny unit called cell. Although there are many different types of cell, all of which have different jobs, most cells have certain features in common. So cells are the smallest living units in a living thing. In unicellular living things made up of a single cell, and in multicellular living things made up of many cells. So there are some common features of the cell: cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. The cell membrane controls what goes into and out of the cell. Cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance which make up of most of the cell in both plants and animals. The cytoplasm contains a number of small structures called organelles. These do several things. The mitochondria produce energy for the cell, so other called ribosomes make protein. They receive chemical messages from the nucleus which tell them exactly which proteins to make. Then the third one is nucleus. The nucleus contains the substance called DNA. The nucleus carries the plans for the plant or animals that cell will grow into or be a part of. It controls the kinds of chemicals the cell makes and how much of each of them is produced. It also controls how and when the cell divides. A plant or animal without a nucleus cannot reproduce. Now let us discuss about the plant cell. Although both plant and animal cells normally have a cell membrane, cytoplasm and a nucleus, there are some features found in plant cells that are not present in animal cells. These are plant cells have a cell wall, right? So plant cells have a cell wall as well as a cell membrane. The cell wall is made up of a material called cellulose and it helps to keep the plant rigid. Cell membrane, the plasma membrane or the cell membrane provides protection for a cell. It also provides a fixed environment inside the cell, and that membrane has several different functions. One is to transport nutrients into the cell and also to transport toxin substances out of the cell. So a rigid layer that surrounds the cell membrane is a cell wall. Its function is to provide the support and protection for the cell. Then here comes the vacuole. The vacuole is a bag-like structure in the center of the cytoplasm. It takes up most of the space inside the cell and contains a solution of sugar and salts. Now this solution is called the cell sap. The cell sap pushes the cytoplasm up against the cell wall to keep the cell rigid. So plant cells usually have a large central vacuole which contains a liquid that is called cell sap. Cell sap contains dissolved substances such as sugar, minerals, salts and amino acids. In plant cell, chloroplast is also present. Chloroplast contains the green pigment that is called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is used by plants in photosynthesis. So what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their own food. Chloroplast is an organelle found in the leaves of green plant. They are found in plant cell. The function of the chloroplast are to produce glucose, that is the food, during photosynthesis and to store the food energy. So what basically the chlorophyll is? Chlorophyll is a green pigment that allow a plant to absorb carbon dioxide. Radiant energy from the sun is absorbed by the plant throughout the chlorophyll. Plant cell also contains cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance where chemical reactions happen. It's a jelly-like substance which makes up most of the cell in both animals and plants. The cytoplasm contains a number of small structures called organelles. These do several things. The mitochondria produce energy for the cell. Others, called ribosomes, they make protein. They receive chemical messages from the nucleus which tell them exactly which proteins to make. Plant cell also contain the nucleus. The nucleus controls and regulates the activities of the cell like growth and metabolism and contains the hereditary information. So the nucleus contains the substance that is called the DNA. The nucleus carries the plans for plants and animals the cell will grow into or be a part of. It controls the kind of chemicals that cell make and how much of each of them is produced. Nucleus control how and when the cell divide. A plant or animal cell without a nucleus cannot be reproduced. So students, it is important to remember that unlike many animals, plants do not have skeleton. They keep their shape because the cell wall and the cell sap in the vacuoles keep the cell rigid. So now students, we will discuss about the structure of an animal cell. So here in the picture you can see that in animal cell they have only a thin cell membrane. They do not have a cell wall. As in a plant cell you can see they have a cell membrane as well as a cell wall. So cell membrane provides protection for a cell. It also provides a fixed environment inside the cell, and that membrane has several different functions. One is to transport nutrients into the cell and also to transport toxic substances out of the cell. So they do not have a cell wall. They only have a thin cell membrane. They also not have any chloroplast. They do not have chloroplast. or a large and a permanent vacuole. As in a plant cell, they have a chloroplast as well as a large vacuole, but in an animal cell, they do not have chloroplast or a large and a permanent vacuole. However, they may have small vacuoles which only last for a short time. Animal cells have small vacuoles because they do not need to store as much water as other organisms such as the plants. So basically the function of the vacuole is that it protects the cell from the potential harm and act as a vacuum cleaner of the cell. The plant has the largest vacuole, but in the animal cell you can see they have small vacuoles, right? So mitochondria is also present in animal cell. Mitochondria are also known as a powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria produces the energy necessary for the cell's survival and functioning. Through series of chemical reaction, mitochondria break down glucose into an energy molecule. In animal cell, cytoplasm is present and it is a jelly-like substance and which makes most of the cell in this animal cell, right? So again, here you can see that the nucleus is present and the nucleus contains the substance that is called DNA, and you know that nucleus controls all the activities of the cell, right? Now we will discuss about specialist plant cells. Although all plant cells have the same basic structure, many of them are adapted to carry out special jobs within the plant. Here are the two examples. First one is pelleted cells. So pelleted cells are commonly found in the top surface of leaves. They have a lot of extra chloroplast to trap sunlight and carry out photosynthesis. Pelleted cells are special cells in the leaves of plant. They are the main place where photosynthesis takes place. Their function is to absorb light, so photosynthesis can take place. They have the largest number of chloroplasts per cell of any plant tissue, which make them the main site of photosynthesis. So now we will discuss about root hair cell. Root hair cells do not have chloroplast. They do not need chlorophyll as they are mostly found underground, and their job is to draw in water and mineral salts from the soil. They are long and thin to provide a large surface area. Here in the picture you can see it contains nucleus, and you can see the water and minerals are entering. The function of the root hair is to collect water and minerals, nutrients from the soil. This soil goes up through the root to the rest of the plant. Root hair cells survive for 2 to 3 weeks and then die off. New root hair cells are continuously being formed at the tip of the root. Now we will discuss about the specialist animal cells. Some animal cells are adopted to carry out complicated tasks within the animal's body. The first type of cell is red blood cells. Here on the screen you can see the picture of red blood cells. Their job and their function is that they carry oxygen around the body in the blood. There is no nucleus present and its shape is biconcave. So biconcave shape gives the largest surface area for absorbing oxygen. It contains hemoglobin which combines with the oxygen. The next type of cell is nerve cells. So in the picture you can see a nerve cells. So what is the function and the job of the nerve cell? Its function is and its job is to carry the messages around the body. It's very long and thin and it's up to 1 meter long, and its connections are at the both end, and it carries the electrical signals. The third type of cell is ciliated epithelial cells. Here in the picture you can see the ciliated epithelial cells. The nucleus and cell membrane is also present here. The tiny hair cells called the tiny hairs that are present, they are called the cilia. All along the upper surfaces sweep dust and microbes along in the airways, such as the lining of the nose and the windpipe, so keeping them clean. Ciliated cells in the oviducts move the egg cells along from the ovaries to the uterus. Now students, let us discuss about the unicellular and multicellular organisms. So uni means one, like unicellular organisms are made of one cell. But when we talk about the multicellular, they are made of more than one cell. In unicellular, single cell performs all the function. But in multicellular, specialized cells perform different life functions. So here, amoeba is an example of a unicellular organism, and humans are the example of a multicellular organism. Microbes and some very simple plants and animals, including amoeba, have only one cell, so they are said to be unicellular. Most living things, however, are made of large number of cells, all grouped together. The human body is made up of billions of cells, most of which are very, very small and can be seen only with a powerful microscope. A red blood cell, for instance, is only 0.007 millimeter across. The egg cell or ova, which is the beginning of a human baby, is one of the largest cells in the body, and its measure 0.2 millimeter across, which is about the size of one of the full stop on this page. When you look at the brain cells are the smallest cells in the body. They measure only 0.005 millimeter across, and 40 of them fit across the dot on the top of this letter I. Students, you have to do the science homework. That is, you have to do the reading of chapter number 1, that is cells, tissues and organs. Now you have to do the reading of page number 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? And also you have to do the course contents and definition of science on your neat notebook. Draw the proper margin line with the pencil, double underline all the headings with the pencil, right? And draw sketches. You must have to do the shading as well. Clear? So dear students, I hope you understood all the lecture. Thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.